Alright, we back again. Goku and DC, Season 3, Episode 7. The Saiyans arrive on DC's Earth, so let's get to it. The Watchtower's main hall hummed with tension as Wonder Woman paced before the holographic displays, her boots striking the metal floor with sharp, measured clicks. Batman stood motionless, his cape casting a long shadow, while Superman hovered nearby, his usual warmth replaced by grim focus. Around them were flickering blue projections of the Justice League's remaining members. Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, Raven, and Robin watched in silence. Diana's voice was steel, wrapped in silk, each word deliberate. Engelman's device didn't just teleport Goku. It tore a hole in reality itself. She clenched her fist, the memory playing behind her eyes. One moment he was there, the next, that void swallowed him whole. Cyborg's mechanical fingers danced across a virtual keyboard. If it's a dimensional rift, we might be able to reverse engineer a portal. No, Diana's interruption was a whip crack. We don't have time for the experiments. She turned to Superman, her eyes burning. Clark, you know what he means to me. To all of us. We have to get him back. And the moment the words left Diana's lips, Batman's jaw tightened. His gauntleted fingers curled into fists, the leather creaking under the strain. The room temperature seemed to drop as his glare locked onto Wonder Woman. His voice was low, a controlled growl. You put Engelman in a coma. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Diana didn't flinch, but her spine stiffened a little. He took Goku, and I reacted. Batman stepped forward, his cape sweeping behind him like a storm cloud. You reacted by eliminating our only lead, our only chance to reverse whatever that device did before Vegeta and Nappa arrived. His voice remained measured, but the edge in it was razor sharp. We had one variable in this fight against the Saiyans, one wild card strong enough to stand with Superman against them, and now, he gestured sharply to the holographic feeds displaying global threats. Now we don't even have him. Superman moved to intervene, but Batman cut him off with a raised hand. No, Clark. This isn't just about losing an ally. This is about her letting her emotions override strategy. His gaze never left Diana's. You fought powerhouses, Diana. You faced mind manipulators. Wars. Betrayal. Yet this is what you lose control over? A cheap trick from a C-list villain? Diana's eyes flashed. Goku is not just some variable, Bruce. He's family. Batman's lips curled. Well, now your family's gone because you couldn't keep a cool head long enough to interrogate the man who sent him away in the first place. He turned his back, his voice dropping to a whisper that cut deeper than any shout. When those Saiyans land, pray to your Greek gods we don't need him as much as I think we will, if we can't get him back in time. Superman's jaw tightened as he watched Batman's retreating figure, the weight of his words lingering like a storm cloud. He understood Bruce's pragmatism, the cold calculus of war that demanded every advantage, every contingency. But he also knew that the fire that burned in Diana's heart for his brother, her childhood friend. He turned to her, his blue eyes softening beneath the crest of the House of El. Without a word, he placed a hand on her shoulder, his grip steady, grounding. Diana didn't pull away, but her muscles were coiled like a spring, her gaze fixed on the starfield beyond the Watchtower's observation deck. We'll get him back, Clark said, his voice quiet but firm. Diana's breath hitched just slightly. She had faced monsters, stood unbroken against the tides of war, but this felt different. Goku wasn't just a comrade. He was her reckless best friend who had grown into a warrior right beside her, the one who had reminded her what it meant to fight not just for duty, but for joy as well. Clark squeezed her shoulder. We've pulled off the impossible before. If anyone can punch their way out of a dimensional rift, it's definitely my brother, Goku. And if he can't, he offered a small, determined smile, then we can always just go after him. Diana closed her eyes, drawing strength from his certainty. She wanted to believe him, needed to, but the silence of the cosmos beyond the glass seemed to mock her hope. Where are you, Goku? She wondered aloud. The tension in the Watchtower's command center was thick enough to choke on when Raven's hologram flickered to life as she stepped forward, her hooded gaze sweeping over the assembled League members. Her voice, usually so measured, carried a rare urgency to it. I may be able to help. All eyes snapped to her. Batman, who had been halfway to the exit, halted mid-step. Superman straightened, hope flaring in his eyes at that statement. Diana, still standing rigid by the observation deck, turned sharply. You know where he is? Diana demanded, her voice raw. Raven nodded once. Yes, the dead zone isn't just a dimensional rift. It's a pocket of null space, a void between realities. I've encountered it before. Her fingers twitched, as if resisting the urge to touch the gem that was upon her forehead. It's where my father's influence is weakest. A place where even demons fear to linger, because they might get lost and never return. Batman's glare could have melted steel, and you didn't think to mention any of this sooner. Raven met his gaze unflinchingly, because pulling someone out of it isn't simple. The dead zone doesn't obey physics or magic. It consumes both equally and evenly. To retrieve Goku, I need to anchor him to our reality while simultaneously tearing open a stable portal enough for him to return. And even then, she hesitated. Time flows differently there. What feels like minutes to us could be days for him, or even worse. Superman stepped forward. What do you need? Preparation, power, and time. Raven's eyes glowed faintly violet. I'll have to channel my abilities through a focal point, likely the device Angleman was using, and even then success isn't completely guaranteed. Batman's fist clenched. Do it now. Raven's hologram dissipated with a final warning. Then don't interrupt me, because if this falls, we could lose him forever. Meanwhile, in the vast emptiness of space, stretched endlessly around the saiyan ship as it hurtled towards its destination, Earth. Inside, Vegeta sat with his arms crossed, his sharp eyes fixed on the holographic display counting down their arrival. Beside him was the hulking form of Nappa, who cracked his knuckles with a grin, his massive frame barely contained within the cramped interior. Tch, pathetic little planet, Vegeta muttered, watching the blue-green sphere grow larger on the view screen. To think, this backwater world is where Kakarot ended up. Nappa chuckled, rolling his shoulders. I just hope they put up a fight. It's been too long since I've crushed some skulls. We've been trapped in that damn dimension for so long. His grin widened. Maybe this time I'll take my time with him. In the core of the pod, General Zod, his Kryptonian Z symbol on his black Saiyan armor, gleaming under the dim interior lights. He clutched his head, his brow furrowed in discomfort. A low growl escaped his lips as his visions blurred momentarily. Vegeta's gaze flicked toward him. You've been quiet, Zod. What's wrong? Zod exhaled sharply, straightening. It's nothing. Just a headache. He clenched his fist, forcing the strained sensation away. This sector of space feels different. Nappa snorted. You're not getting cold feet now, are you? Zod's eyes narrowed. Don't be a fool. I face worse than a few Earthlings. Vegeta smirked. Good, because once we land, I expect you to participate. Zod nodded, though the unease lingered. Something about this galaxy, something unseen, was changing him. And it felt very strange. Nappa leaned forward, cracking his neck. So how do you want to play this, Vegeta? Wipe them out fast, or let them think they got a chance? Vegeta's smirk turned predatory. Oh, I think we'll have a little fun first. The pod streaked closer, Earth's atmosphere glowing red as they breached it. By the way, somebody told me in my comments on one of my pictures I posted that my Saiyan armor Zod looks like Ryu, and I can't unsee it, especially with the red gloves. But anyway, let's continue it going. The Watchtower monitors erupted in a flurry of red alerts as Cyborg's systems detected the incoming threat. His mechanical fingers flew across the holographic interface, pulling up satellite feeds and trajectory projections. The moment the data solidified, his human eye widened in alarm. They're here. His voice cut through the tension in the room like a blade. Every head turned. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, Aquaman, even Raven, still deep in her preparations to retrieve Goku, all froze at the mention of his words. Cyborg didn't wait for questions. With a sharp gesture, he threw the satellite imagery onto the main display. A fiery streak tore through the upper atmosphere, hurtling toward the planet at impossible speeds. The heat signature was unlike any conventional spacecraft. It pulsed with raw, untamed energy like a blazing comet of destruction. And Cyborg was now even able to read power levels because Raditz supplied them with his scouter technology. So now Cyborg had the ability to sense people's power levels. 3 life forms inside. Cyborg reported, his voice tight. 2 massive power readings. Saiyan biology, matching Raditz's description of Vegeta and Nappa. And the third, he hesitated, systems whirring as he cross-referenced databases. It's Kryptonian, but not like Clark's. This one's signature is fluctuating. Superman's jaw clenched. That must be Zod for my computer files. Batman was already moving, pulling up tactical overlays. Estimated landing zone. Uninhabited region near the Rocky Mountains, Cyborg confirmed. But if they decide to change course, they'll hit a city, Wonder Woman finished, her grip tightening on the hilt of her sword. Flash vibrated in place, restless. So what's the play? We intercept them midair? Try to steer them away from civilians? Batman's glare was ice. No. We let them land. Superman turned sharply. Bruce. We don't know their full capabilities, Batman snapped. If we engage them in the atmosphere and fail, they'll crash into a populated area. Out of spite, if anything. Better to meet them on our terms, where we can control the battlefield and come up with tactics. Cyborg's optics flickered as he processed the data. ETA 6 minutes. And guys, their power levels. They're definitely off the charts. Raditz was strong, but these two, certified monsters. A heavy silence settled over the room. Wonder Woman exhaled, rolling her shoulders. And it's a good thing we are strong as well, especially together. Superman met her gaze and then nodded. Be safe out there, people. As the League scattered to prepare, Cyborg systems continued tracking the ship's descent. A burning herald of the storm was about to break. The moment Cyborg confirmed the Saiyan ship's trajectory, Batman's mind was already 3 steps ahead. He turned to the League, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. We let them land. Superman's eyes narrowed. We can intercept them now. If we engage in midair, they'll crash in the city. Like I said before. Pulling off a topographic map of the Rockies. A red marker post where the pod was projected to touch down. A barren valley, miles from the nearest town. This is our best shot. We control the battlefield, we minimize collateral damage, and we draw their attention before they even think about heading toward populated areas to terrorize the people. Wonder Woman crossed her arms. So you're suggesting we wait for them to land and then we confront them head on? Not just confront, Batman said, his fingers flying across the holographic display. We funnel them in. The terrain here is rugged. Plenty of natural barriers to keep the fight contained. If they're as arrogant as Raditz implied, they'll want to flex their power. We give them a stage, but it's really ours, not theirs, to control. Flash tapped his foot impatiently. So we're basically rolling out a welcoming mat for 2 planet busters and a Kryptonian war criminal. We're baiting them, Batman corrected. And when they step off that ship, we can take them out without risking collateral damage of mass proportions. We jumped to the waves of the Atlantic as it crashed against the rocky shore, as Aquaman emerged from the depths, water cascading off his orange armor. His trident gleamed under the fading sunlight, its prongs humming with latent power. Behind him, the ocean seemed to hold its breath, the tide receding as if in reverence. Mira stood at the water's edge, her emerald eyes reflecting both pride and concern, as she reached out with her fingers, brushing his wrist. Arthur. He turned, his jaw set, the weight of the coming battle etched into his features. I know, he said, his voice steady, but this fight isn't just for the surface. If these Saiyans are as half as destructive as Raditz claimed, they won't stop at leveling just cities. They'll come for the seas next. Mira's grip tightened. They let me fight beside you. Aquaman shook his head. Atlantis needs its queen. If I fall today, you'll be the one to lead our people through what comes after. He glanced toward the horizon, where the faint streak of the descending pod burned through the sky like a falling star. But I don't intend to fall. Mira exhaled sharply, then pressed her forehead to his. Then make sure you don't. With a final nod, Aquaman turned, his muscles coiling before he launched himself forward, with his trident cutting through the air as he surged toward the shore. The ground trembled beneath his boots as he broke into a sprint, his cloak billowing behind him. The pod's trajectory was clear. It would land deep within the Rockies, far from civilization, but close enough to threaten the world if its occupants weren't contained. As he ran, the ocean roared behind him, as if urging him forward. He wouldn't fail. Not while Atlantis still stood. Not while his people, His family relied on him. For the 7 seas, he muttered, his grip tightening on his trident. For Atlantis. Cyborg exhaled sharply, his mechanical systems whirring as he clenched his fist. The weight of what they were about to face settled over him. This wasn't just another street-level threat. This was an extinction-level threat, if anything. He glanced at Robin, whose jaw was set in grim determination. Then back at Raven, who stood motionless, her hands outstretched as dark energy swirled around her, tearing at the fabric of reality in her desperate attempt to open back up the dead zone. You know, Cyborg muttered, forcing a smirk, back when we were just dealing with Slade and petty metahuman criminals, I thought we hit the big time. He shook his head. Now? We're about to throw down with alien warlords who could probably sneeze and level a city. Robin adjusted his gauntlets, his eyes never leaving Raven's straining form. Yeah, we don't have a choice. If we don't hold the line, there won't be a reunion. His voice was steady, but the tension in his shoulders betrayed the fear beneath as he thought about his teammates that were no longer here. Cyborg clapped a heavy hand on Robin's shoulder. Then let's make sure we earn that reunion. He turned toward the exit, his optics locking onto the distant horizon where the saiyan ship would soon touch down. Robin nodded once. For the Titans. With that, the 2 former teammates turned their backs on Raven's ritual, stepping out into the fading light. The wind howled around them, carrying the distant rumble of approaching destruction. But they didn't look back. There was no time for doubt. There was only a battle to come. And the Titans were in the big leagues now. The tension in the air was palpable as the Flash skidded to a stop beside Batman and Wonder Woman, his crimson suit crackling with residual speed, force energy. The barren valley stretched before them, the ground scarred and smoking from the impact of the sand pod. The wind howled through jagged peaks of the Rockies, carrying with it the scent of scorched earth and ozone. Batman stood like a statue with his cape billowing slightly in the wind. His sharp eyes locked onto the crater where their pod had embedded itself. His mind was already calculating every possible scenario that was to come, every weakness that he could potentially exploit. The Flash fidgeted beside him, vibrating with nervous energy. So we just wait for them to come out? He muttered, glancing between Batman and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman didn't answer immediately. Her grip on her sword only tightened. Her muscles coiled like a spring. She had faced monsters and tyrants, but something about this moment felt very different. Plus, the absence of Goku was weighing heavily on her. He was a missing piece in their ranks that left them vulnerable, to say the very least. Then, with a deafening boom, Superman touched down beside them, his boots cracking the earth beneath him. His cape flared beneath him as he straightened, his blue eyes glowing faintly with restrained power. He didn't speak, but his presence alone was enough to steady the group. One by one, the rest of the league arrived. Aquaman emerged from the tree line with his trident gleaming in the sunlight, and Cyborg and Robin arrived next, while Raven stayed back to try to retrieve Goku from the Phantom Zone. The silence was oppressive. No birds were singing, no wind rustled trees. It was as if the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for the storm that was to come. And then movement. A hiss of steam escaped the pod as its hatch began to open. The metal groaned under the strain, and shadowy figures stepped forward, silhouetted against the dim lights that were within. And by the way, this picture right here, I didn't know if I wanted to give Zod sleeves or not. I decided with sleeves, but right here he's sleeveless. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, the tension in the valley was thick, enough to choke on as Vegeta, Nappa, and Zod stepped out of their pod, their boots crunching against the scorched earth. Vegeta's sharp eyes swept over the barren landscape, his lips curled in disgust. Pathetic, he muttered, crossing his arms. This is the planet that coddled Kakarot. No wonder he's probably still weak. Nappa cracked his knuckles, his massive frame casting a long shadow as he grinned. Looks like a wasteland. Smells like one, too. Zod remained silent, his piercing gaze locked onto the group of costumed figures standing at the edge of the crater. On the other side, his jaw tightened. Something about this planet felt wrong, like an itch beneath his skin he couldn't scratch, and everyone speaking sounded louder to him than usual. Vegeta's tail flicked impatiently as he stepped forward, his voice dripping with disdain. and dismissal. Alright, enough wasting time. Where's Kakarot? If this is the welcoming committee, I'm already unimpressed. The Flash zipped forward, stopping just out of arm's reach with his usual grin in place, despite the gravity of the situation. Oh, sorry, little guy. Goku's on vacation right now. But hey, if you want to leave a message, I'd be happy to pass it along. Vegeta's eyes narrowed. Nappa didn't wait for permission. With a roar, he lunged forward, his fist slamming into the ground where the Flash had stood a millisecond before. The impact sent shockwaves through the earth. How about we spell out that message with your dead bodies? He bellowed, his grin widening as dust and debris rained down around him. The Flash reappeared beside Batman, his usual humor gone. Okay, not the friendly type. Vegeta smirked, rolling his shoulders. Nappa, make sure they understand that this isn't a negotiation. This is a demand. And then at that moment, Superman stepped forward, his cape fluttering in the wind. The tension in the valley seemed to crystallize. His voice was calm but firm, carrying the weight of diplomacy forged in countless battles. We don't have to be enemies, he said, his piercing blue eyes locked onto Vegeta, then onto Zod. I know what happened to you, how you were betrayed, sealed away in the Phantom Zone, and I know about Frieza's deception. I know about the Tyrant. And I'm here to tell you that he destroyed Krypton and Planet Vegeta. Zod's head snapped toward him, his blue eyes narrowing. The mention of Frieza sent a ripple of recognition through him, but his gaze quickly zeroed in on the symbol that it was emblazoned across Superman's chest. The crest of the House of El. His lip curled into a sneer. Another Kryptonian lives, he muttered, stepping forward. The air around him seemed to vibrate with restrained power. Tell me, boy, what is your name? Superman didn't flinch. Kal-El, son of Jor-El. Zod's expression darkened, a flicker of something unreadable passing through his eyes. So, the son of Jor-El still breathes. For a brief moment, Superman thought he saw hesitation, a crack in Zod's ruthless demeanor. Maybe there was common ground to be found. Maybe the shared history of their people could bridge the gap that was between them. But then Zod's face hardened, his voice dripping with contempt. But why has he chosen to breathe the same air in the vicinity of lesser life forms? His gaze swept over the assembled league, lingering on Batman and Wonder Woman, and the others with undisguised disdain. You stand among these creatures as if they are your equals, Kal-El. As if their existence holds even a fraction of the value of Krypton's legacy. Superman's jaw tightened. He could feel the shift that was in the air. The fragile hope of negotiation was evaporating, like mist under the sun. Zod's posture was rigid. His fists clenched, every muscle coiled like a spring. Behind him, Vegeta smirked, crossing his arms as if amused by the spectacle. Nappa cracked his knuckles with his grin widening in anticipation. Superman exhaled slowly, his shoulders squaring. They are my equals, he said, his voice steady. And if you can't see that, then you've learned nothing from Krypton's fall. We're stronger together. Zod's eyes flashed with fury. Then you are as much as a traitor as your father, and the council. The words hung in the air like a death knell. Superman knew then there would be no talking out of this. Alright, so next episode we're going to get it cracking, man. Like, share, subscribe. We're about to heat up. Let me know what you guys see in the comment section below. Gone. Peace.